The dream of flight is one of mankind's most enduring. 2 days stand out above all others in the history of aviation. The first powered flight by the Wright brothers, and the journey that took man to the surface of the moon. Extraordinary moments separated by just 66 years. This is a dramatization of events as they happened on 2 days that shook the world. It is December the 17th, 1903. Henry Ford has launched his motor car company. Marie Curie has just received the Nobel Prize for her work into radiation. Emmeline Pankhurst is campaigning for women to have the vote. And in Kitty Hawk, North America, 2 brothers are about to put 4 years of work to the ultimate test. Dawn, the Outer Banks. 130 miles of saltwater marsh and desolate sand dune. Home for the last 3 months for 2 brothers from Dayton, Ohio. Impatient to get on with the day, Orville Wright is already up and out on the dunes. Before he and his brother can test their new machine, Orville has to make one vital check.
We certainly shouldn't complain of the place. We came down here for wind and sand, and we have got them.
Orville's older brother, Wilbur, is making breakfast in the wooden shed they've called home for the last few months. It's the same breakfast he's made every morning: eggs, dried ham, and hard biscuit. And he sincerely hopes that this is one of the last times he'll have to endure it. Both bachelors, Orville and Wilbur, run a successful bicycle business back home. Now they have finally completed work on a revolutionary new flying machine. Today, they plan to put it to the test. 1 mile away, and the local lifeboatmen have also got their eye on the weather. Nicknamed the graveyard of the Atlantic, the banks are notoriously treacherous, and winter is the worst time of year. Over the last few months, the Wright brothers have regularly called on the locals for help. Last night, Wilbur warned them to be ready to help again today. Orville is worried. The wind is 27. The journey from Kitty Hawk to Dayton, Ohio takes 3 days at the best of times. Today's already the 17th of December. All they can do is wait.
For some years, I have been afflicted by the belief that flight is possible for man. My disease has increased in severity, and
First place. Otto Lilienthal, the Birdman of Europe. A German civil engineer who had covered distances of up to 800 feet in elegant gliders made of willow and waxed cotton. Lilienthal believed man would have to master control of a flying machine if he was to successfully conquer the skies. Alas, Lilienthal's own mastery fell short of the mark. In 1896, he plunged headfirst into the ground and broke his neck. Still, even in death, Lilienthal had been a source of inspiration to the Wright brothers. Building a flying machine was the easy part. It was learning how to fly it that killed most early aviators. Outer Banks lifeboatman John T. Daniels is on patrol. There are 9:15. Still, there's no respite. Of course, when Wilbur first came to Kitty Hawk, it was the wind he was interested in.
I chose Kitty Hawk because there are neither hills nor trees, so that it is safe for practice, and the wind is stronger than any place near home.
Kitty Hawk provided the brothers with a secret testing ground for their own theories of flight. The Outer Banks also gave Wilbur the opportunity to study the natural masters of the art.
We could not understand that there was anything about a bird that would enable it to fly that could not be built on a larger scale and used by man.
Wilbur saw that the secret of control by twisting the angle of the wings of their kite, they were soon able to control its movement in the air. Wright's next step. After testing their wing warping theory on kites, they moved on to gliders. Throughout the autumn of 1902, they were a regular sight at Kitty Hawk, the wind providing the power for their willow and wax cotton machines.
In 2 days, we made over 250 glides. We have gained considerable proficiency in the handling of the machine, so that we are able to take it out in any kind of weather.
While the sand forgave the occasional error. Today is the result of 3 years building gliders. Thousands of hours flying above the
Years, just so that we could discover them.
While Orville's confidence in their genius is impressive, the brothers are only too aware that their machine is utterly untried. Testing any machine is risky. In a 27-mile-an-hour wind, the brothers are risking their lives. The wind is still too strong. The frustration is becoming unbearable. They tried to fly 3 days ago, but Wilbur, unfamiliar with the controls, succeeded only in smashing the front rudder. Repairs took 2 days, with no work on the Sabbath, out of respect for their father. Now they are ready to try again, but cannot afford any more accidents. Time is running out.
The condition.
Orville reluctantly raises the flag to summon the lifeboatmen. The men set off from the lifeboat station along with a boy, Johnny Moore, from the nearby resort of Nag's Head. The new machine is their largest yet. With a span of over 40 feet, the upper and lower wings are over 6 feet apart. They called it the Flyer. Now, they wanted to live up to the promise of its name. Since their very first experiments in flight, the brothers have used photography to document their exploits. Today is no exception. Orville sets the camera and calls Daniels over.
Feet, and then, on turning the rudder, dart for the ground.
Orville Wright's first flight. It lasts just 12 seconds. Wilbur is so amazed that he forgets to stop the watch. Orville is so surprised that he forgets to throw the engine switch to stop the propellers. But Daniels keeps his head. The first photograph he's ever taken. It will become one of the most famous in the history of aviation. The Wright brothers' machine. It's Wilbur's turn. He makes the second flight of the day.
The distance covered?
Lighted. Traveling a distance of 852 feet in 59 seconds, Orville and Wilbur Wright have made the world's first powered flight. And the only witnesses to this momentous event are 4 lifeboatmen and a little boy. "1 o'clock. The brothers take lunch. Eggs, ham, and biscuit. Again. They are eager to tell their father that they will be home for Christmas, and they want to let the world know of their triumph. "96 miles away in Norfolk, Virginia, H.P. Moore is at work in the circulation department of the Virginian Pilot. He's desperate to break into reporting, but has never been able to persuade his editor he has what it takes. This afternoon, one of the biggest stories of the century is about to land in his lap. The brothers set...
The machine flew above the sea for 3 miles and gracefully descended to the earth. It had one 6-blade propeller beneath it to elevate it, and another propeller at the rear to shove it forward.
Moore concludes by writing that when Wilbur and Orville celebrated their success, they ran around
shouting Eureka!
His story is 99% inaccurate. Kitty Hawk, and Wilbur and Orville are preparing for the 3-day journey home. 720 miles away, and Orville's telegram reaches his father in Dayton, Ohio.
Success. 4 flights Thursday morning, all against 21-mile wind. Started from level with engine power alone. Average speed through air 31 miles. Longest 59 seconds. Inform press.
The telegram has spelt his son's name wrong, but Bishop Wright is overjoyed. Acting on instruction, he immediately sends his son's telegram to the office of the local newspaper. Frank Tunison is on duty in the newsroom of the day. But the Wright brothers' first flight makes the front page of the Virginian Pilot. (1903). Only 66 years later, a piece of their historic plane will make the ultimate flight and accompany 3 astronauts on a journey to the moon. It is the 20th of July, 1969. Yasser Arafat is the newly elected leader of the PLO. James Earl Ray has just been jailed for the murder of Martin Luther King. In war-torn Biafra, 4 million people are facing starvation. And floating 250,000 miles away in space, 3 astronauts are about to make the greatest technological endeavor of all time. Houston, Texas. A Korean War Air Force veteran, he is a patriot and a devout Catholic. Last night he attended Mass at his church, the Shrine of the True Cross. But beyond his religious faith is Kranz's belief in the space program. Not just a part of his life, it is his life. Born for what will be the most exceptional shift of his career. (239,000 miles above Houston), the 3 astronauts of the 11th Apollo mission are still asleep in the Command Module Columbia. For the last 17 hours, they've been in orbit around the moon. Then it's time. They will wake to begin their journey into the unknown. Will rest on his shoulders. As flight director, Kranz has overall responsibility for the lunar landing. Around the world, millions of people will be watching live as America attempts to do something that has never been done before. For Kranz and the 400,000 people who have worked on the Apollo program, the stakes are high. The potential for failure is infinite, but if they succeed, it will be a dramatic climax to a race that began 8 years earlier. On May the 25th, 1961, at the height of the Cold War.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
After orbiting the Earth 1.5 times, the third stage engine boosted Apollo 11 out of Earth's orbit and on to a lunar trajectory. Traveling at an initial speed of 24,200 miles an hour, the 3-day journey to the moon was relatively quiet.
The 0G is very comfortable, but after a while...
It had been accomplished twice before. The sight of men in space was no longer startling.
So you tend to find a little corner somewhere and put your knees up or something like that to wedge yourself in, and that seems...
But Apollo
11, Houston. Now we're coming in. Can't quite make out who that had. That's Big Mike Collins there. Well, you got a little bit of... Yeah, hello there, sports fans. You got a little bit of me, plus Neil's in the center couch, and Buzz is doing the camera work this time.
They are about to embark on the most risky phase of the mission, the descent to the surface of the moon.
Maybe a bigger f-stop might help.
In orbit above the moon, Buzz Aldrin crawls through the hatch into the lunar module. He starts checking the systems in preparation for the powered descent. Officer Steve Bales. His job is to oversee the computerized flight control system that will take Eagle down to the moon. And directly in front of Krantz is astronaut Charlie Duke, Capcom, the capsule communicator. He's the point of contact between Krantz's team and the Apollo mission.
Apollo 11, Houston, did you copy? Over.
It's his voice that the astronauts and the world will hear. Orbiting the dark side of the moon, Eagle and Columbia are out of radio contact with Houston. With Armstrong and Aldrin in the lunar module, Collins is ready to separate Columbia from Eagle. Collins releases the spring-loaded bolts of the docking mechanism, and Eagle drifts gently away. Armstrong fires small bursts of Eagle's thruster rocket, turning the lunar module on its head in preparation for the descent to the moon's surface. Nicknamed the Flying Bedstead by astronauts in training, Eagle's balance is maintained by its onboard computer. The peak of 1969 technology, its 74 kilobyte memory, is less than a modern mobile phone. Collins starts his vigil orbiting the moon in Columbia. Privately, he has given some thought to the odds of them safely accomplishing this mission. He estimates a 50-50 chance of success. If things go according to plan, he won't see Armstrong and Aldrin for at least 22 hours.
Procedures in flight. Will you make sure the doors get secured now, please?
Krantz orders security to lock the doors to mission control and switches to a private communication loop.
Will you secure the doors? Roger.
Then, after reviewing operational procedures, he gives the pep talk of his life.
Houston, Columbia, reading you loud and clear. How many?
Roger 5-5, Mike. How did he go? Over.
Listen, babe, everything's going just swimmingly. Beautiful.
Great. We're standing by for Eagle.
Eagle then clears the moon, but Mission Control has a problem receiving their signal. Communications from the spacecraft have been cutting out and then returning for brief moments.
Apollo 11.
Help us on the high gain signal strength, over. Eagle, Houston, we have you now. Do you read, over?
Loud and clear.
Okay, we're off to a good start. Play it cool.
With an improved signal, Krantz asks his flight controllers for a go or no-go for the descent.
Okay, all flight controllers, I'm going around the horn. Make your go-no-goes based on the data you had prior to LOS. I see we got it back. Give you another few seconds.
We're going, flying.
Okay, retro.
Go.
Fido.
Go.
Guide.
Go.
Control.
Go.
Telcom.
Go.
GNC.
Go.
Ecom.
Go.
Surgeon.
Go.
Capcom, we're go to continue PDI.
Roger, you're a go to continue power descent. You're a go to continue power descent.
With Eagle in position, they are about to start the part of the mission that has never been attempted before. The manned descent to the surface of the moon. Only 50,000 feet above the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin are strapped to the floor of the lunar module. Their mouths are dry from the pure oxygen in the capsule. The computer will take Eagle down to 500 feet when Armstrong will take over control for the landing. The descent engine fires and the lunar module vibrates with a high-frequency hum. Eagle is face down, traveling towards the moon at a mile a second. Armstrong looks out of the window to check for landmarks, but each is worried. Eagle is descending too fast, 20 miles an hour faster than planned. If the descent rate increases, Eagle is likely to crash land. But the speed is constant. They can overshoot the planned landing zone, and Armstrong should be able to find a new suitable site. Eagle turns over onto its back so that its landing radar can lock onto the moon. The radar comes to life, firing information on speed and altitude into Eagle's guidance system.
Okay, we got data back.
Radar flight looks good.
Raj.
2,000 feet.
Raj, 2,000 foot Del H.
Aldrin checks the computer's calculations against the distance measured by the radar. Because of the fast descent rate, the two are out by several thousand feet. He tries to input the new data from the radar into landings. 3 seconds was considered a long time. It takes 15 for mission control to give Neil Armstrong an answer. The entire mission hangs on Bale's call. The astronauts need an answer.
Give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm.
We're going that flight.
We're going that alarm?
Roger, we got you. We're going that alarm.
Bales thinks the alarm is the result of a computer overload, so it keeps about to enter its most risky phase.
Altitude 1,600.
Okay, all flight controllers, go for landing. Retro.
Go.
Fido.
Go.
Guidance.
Go.
Control.
Go.
Telcom.
Go.
GNC.
Go.
Ecom.
Go.
Surgeon.
Go.
Capcom, we're go for landing.
Good here,
Raj, how about you, Telcom?
Go.
Guidance, you happy?
Go.
Fido.
Go.
Now, with the moon only 1,000 feet away, Armstrong looks out of the window. He does not like what he sees. In mission control, the flight surgeon sees Armstrong's heart rate rise from 77 to 156. Eagle is heading straight for a crater littered with boulders. It's far from ideal as a landing site. Armstrong initiates altitude hold. Eagle lurches forward and is rocked by violent shudders as he fires the pitch control rockets. Just 350 feet above the moon, Eagle clears the boulder field and Armstrong flies on in search of safer ground. In Houston, the incoming data tells them that Armstrong has taken control of the lunar module.
Low level. Low level. Low level. Good.
They can also see that his use of the thruster has left Eagle dangerously low on fuel.
100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward. Take done.
For the first time today, Krantz and the controllers are powerless.
75 feet. That's looking good. Down to 60. Roger. 6 forward. 60 seconds. 60 seconds.
Eagle has only 60 seconds of fuel remaining.
Lights on.
But Armstrong has found a landing site. Only 100 feet separate Eagle from the moon.
Forward. 40 feet down, 2.5. Picking up the dust.
They have seconds of fuel left.
2.5 down, 2.5. Picking up the dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down. Big shadow. And forward. 4 forward.
20 feet to go. Armstrong wrestles with the controls. He has to bring it down level, otherwise touchdown could shatter Eagle's legs.
Drift into the right level.
30 seconds.
30. 30.
seconds.
30 seconds.
Contact light.
Upon landing, Armstrong is supposed to shut down the engine. But he's so absorbed in flying, he momentarily forgets.
Okay, engine stop. ATA ready, descent. Mode control, both auto, descent engine command override off. Engine arm off. Port 13 is in.
We copy you down, Eagle.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
Flight. That 14+2 looks beautiful. Roger. Okay, keep the chatter down in this room.
Krantz quietens his controllers. The flight plan calls for a possible emergency liftoff. Krantz asks the controllers if it is stay or no stay.
Okay, T1, stay, no stay. Retro. Stay. Fido. Stay. Guidance. Stay. Control. Stay. Telcom. Stay. GNC. Stay. Econ.
The flight plan has a 4-hour rest period scheduled, but there is no reason to wait. Armstrong suggests that the most dramatic part of the mission starts ahead of schedule. With Eagle safely on the moon, Gene Krantz and his white team hand over to a new shift. They attend a short press conference, but are keen to get back to witness the high point of the mission. Armstrong opens the hatch, moves through the opening and out onto the ladder. He pulls a D-ring on Eagle's side and an equipment stowage tray lowers.
Picture on the TV. See on the sequence camera.
On the big screen in Mission Control, an alien black and white image flickers into life. Armstrong reaches the bottom rung of the ladder. He pauses. Then he launches himself into a slow-motion fall, landing on the foil-covered footpad.
Very, very fine-grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder.
Carefully, he raises his left foot and lowers it onto the dust.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It came in peace for all mankind.
Around the world, 600 million people, 1/5 of the world's population, are watching live on television. It is the largest audience for any event in history.
One small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
After 2 hours and 31 minutes on the moon, the two astronauts climb back inside Eagle. When they take off their helmets, they smell a pungent odor that reminds Armstrong of wet ashes in the fireplace. It is the smell of moon dust.
Like a football player, you just have to...
At last, they prepare for a rest. They have been up since 5:30 Houston time. In a few hours from now, the two astronauts will blast off from the moon and rendezvous with Michael Collins in the command module. A final burn of their rocket will set the astronauts on a journey back to Earth and a hero's welcome. Neil Armstrong will enter the history books as the first man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin as the second, and Mike Collins as the astronaut who went with them. Gene Kranz will go on to flight direct 4 further Apollo missions. Steve Bales will be awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor for his part in the lunar landing.
Go.
A total of 12 men will ultimately walk on the moon, the last on December the 11th, 1972, the first today on July the 20th, 1969. 66 years after the Wright brothers' first flight.